Now, is it visible what I've written on board?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is clear vision, sir. No problem.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Shall I start my session?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead, sir. No problem.
Good evening, dear participants. I hope you had wonderful learning experience with Dr. Parmeshwari. Now let me discuss about techniques of attitude measurement. In this, there are two parts. First, I'll discuss about the techniques available to measure the attitude, and then I'll take up the scales. There are so many scales, like one of you asked me about Likert scale. I'll take up all those scales in the second part of my discussion. The first part is the techniques of attitude measurement. There are four techniques. The first one is ranking scales. Ranking technique. What are we going to do in the ranking technique? Rank is nothing but placing the objects in an order. There is an order in which we place preference. First preference, second preference, third preference. Likewise, the preferential order or the ranking order according to the choice or according to the value or according to the magnitude. We are going to place the item in an order when we use ranking technique. Then second one is rating technique. Rating technique. In this case, we are going to estimate the magnitude of a characteristic or of a quality that the object possesses. Rating, how are we going to rate the quality of a product? Say these two are products available in the market of competitors. This is from Chorus and this is from Camlin. Which product is good? What is my rating with respect to quality of these two pens? Probably I will rate this as number one and this as number two. Rating. We are going to estimate the magnitude of a characteristic. Quality is a characteristic of this. Probably durability or price of this or usability, how comfortable it is to hold. Based on some characteristic, we are going to rate when we use rating technique. And then the third one is sorting technique. Sorting technique. What are we going to do in sorting technique? What we do is when we adopt sorting, we write the characteristics of an object and we jumble them up. There are many objects. For example, customer satisfaction towards hotel. Let us take up. There are many variables in it: price, taste, availability, ambience, cleanliness. These are some of the variables which is it. We will write down the items to measure each of these variables on separate cards, on separate pieces of paper. Then we will jumble up and give the entire heap of cards or the chits which we have written to the respondent for sorting. They will sort. First one they'll read, I'm happy with the price. Okay, this they'll place it somewhere. The price is affordable. They'll put it together because both of them are regarding the price. Taste is good. I'm happy with the deliciousness of the food. Then taste, deliciousness, they all go together. They'll sort them. They're going to sort into different groups so that the concepts are clarified, then we will also come to know, okay, these are all the items which can be grouped together to measure a particular variable. And these are all the variables, these are all the items which can be grouped together to measure another variable. Likewise, all different variables can be measured using the pile of items which respondent is going to solve. Then we will come to know what goes hand in hand with what. This is usually done when we have to establish more clarity at conceptual level. Probably we are trying to come out with a new model, or trying to come out with a new theory to explain a new phenomena. In such circumstances where there is a huge magnitude of uncertainty, then what we do is all those things which comes to our mind relating to the concept are written into separate cards, and those cards are given to the respondents to segregate them into different groups. Then comes the choice technique, the fourth one. Choice techniques. In this case, we try to identify the preferences by choosing between two or more alternatives. We give them the choice. They'll choose which one they like the most. Say, for example, you are developing a product, say automobile product, car. Now you want to decide which color should be painted on the new car which you are going to release in the market soon. In such circumstance, definitely you have to paint it in such a color which is acceptable by the customers in the market. So what we do is we'll give them the shades of colors, different colors, and different shades of the same color, dark, light, medium shade, all those things we do it, and give the choice to the respondents, and eventually they'll choose among the given alternatives, so that we will come to know what is their preference. Whenever you are trying to measure the preference, then you have to use the choice. Whenever you want to classify something, then the sorting. Whenever you want to rate or estimate the magnitude, then the rating scale. Whenever you want to place something in an order, then ranking scale. So these are the four techniques of attitude measurement. Depending upon your requirement, you have to use the techniques. Charavel, do you have any questions, or shall I move on to the scales? Okay, I'll take up the rating scales, the normal scales which we people use. There are so many scales, for example, Likert scale, like that. The first scale which we would be using, I would be discussing, is simple attitude scale. Simple attitude scale. I'll take up the same example which Dr. Parmeshwari gave. Do you like the food in the canteen? That's a scale for which we can have no or yes. This is a dichotomous scale because there are only two options given. If you want to increase the variability in it, yes, you can increase. You can say neutral, because there might be a person who has not gone to canteen would say neutral. I would like to stay neutral, or I don't know, kind of thing. This is a simple attitude scale where as less options are given, probably to segregate the respondents or to know whether the respondent has experience of using the product or not. For example, if you want to know the customer satisfaction towards college canteen, you have a college, there's a canteen in it, would like to know, then probably you can use the simple attitude scale. Have you visited the college canteen? Yes or no? If yes, then answer part A. If no, then answer part B. If yes, then the respondent would be giving the responses based upon their experience, because they have uh, experienced the canteen. They know what is canteen all about. If no, then the respondents would go to a different section of the questionnaire where they would speak about their expectations from the canteen. Because they don't have experience, they can speak about expectations. They have experience of other hotels, other canteens outside the campus. So what is expected within the campus can be asked. For such requirements, we will be using the simple attitude scale. Then the second type is category scales. Category scales. We are going to put the responses into different categories. For example, how often your superior or your boss is friendly with you? How often? You can give different categories, say never, then rarely, sometimes, or often, then very often. How often your boss is friendly with you? How often your teacher is friendly with you? So there are 5 categories which we have created: never, rarely, sometimes, often, and very often. The respondent would tick mark whichever is according to their experience. This is another type of scale where we have categories. There can be categories based on demographic factors as well. Do you belong to urban area, semi-urban, rural areas? Do you belong to science, arts, commerce, likewise faculty-wise? There can be any type of categorization. Whenever we have to put people into different groups, then definitely we will be using category scales. Then we have summated ratings method. Third one, summated ratings method. Summated ratings method was developed by statistician Rensis Likert. You would have now understood a Likert scale. It's actually called a summated ratings method. There are 2 scales proposed by statistician Rensis Likert. One is 5-point Likert scale and the other one is 7-point Likert scale. How are we going to use this? So for example, I'll write a scale on board now. I am aware of organizational policies. I'm aware of organizational policies. For this, you give them the 5 options: strongly disagree, disagree, neither agree nor disagree, which can be neutral, agree, and strongly agree. So 5 variations you are given. If somebody reads this statement, I am aware of organizational policies. If they are positive towards this, then they'll answer here, agree and strongly agree. If they don't know, then they'll answer disagree or strongly disagree. If they, for some reason, would like to stay neutral, then neither agree nor disagree option is given to them. At the same time, as we were discussing in the previous technical session, to increase the variability, Rensis Likert also proposed 7-point Likert scale, wherein there were 2 more points here. Somewhat disagree. This is somewhat. Right. Somewhat disagree. This is somewhat agree. But it so happened over a period of time, social science researchers felt 7 options on the continuum might confuse the respondent, and it may not be all that significant for us to measure the difference between these 2 options. Somewhat agree to agree. What is the difference between these 2? Because interval scales will always speak about the order plus the difference between 2 items on the scale. So how much is the difference between somewhat agree and agree? How much is the difference between neither agree nor disagree, that is neutral, and somewhat agree? Not much. So when there is not much of difference between these 2 things, then there is no point measuring somewhat agree. Similarly with somewhat disagree. So it so happened like 7-point Likert scale is not all that accepted when compared to 5-point Likert scale. This is how we use 5-point Likert scale, and of course, as I said earlier, it is the most widely used scale in social science research, as the scale is optimum in measuring all the variations. Then moving on, the 4th scale, which I'm going to discuss now, is semantic differential scale. Semantic differential scale. Semantic differential scale. What is this? This is a 7-point bipolar scale. 7-point bipolar scale. In this, I'll write the scale so that you will understand. Say, for example, you are speaking of the speed capability of a car with respect to speed. This is a new car which you are testing in the market. You want to know the opinion of respondents towards the speed of the car. Then you can have fast on one side and slow on the other side. In between, there can be 7 points like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and slow. What happens in this case? You're giving an visual experience to the respondents. The moment they see, okay, extreme left is fastest, extreme right is slowest. In this, where should I mark? They have got this visual comparison in this case, so that they can generate the most accurate response to this question, because we are unable to measure the intangible aspects of the respondents. This I have discussed earlier. So they have to recollect, measure their feeling towards this question, this statement, and then mark the most appropriate box. Probably the question is regarding fashion. You are coming out with a new garment. There is a new design which you have done, a nice shirt you have stitched. You want to know whether the fashion is new fashion or old fashion, because fashion repeats. You know that. So you want to be very careful before releasing the product in the market. So you have developed the prototype and you're showing it to the prospective customers. There are some respondents for your research. And then you will be asking them whether the design or the fashion is new or old. So you will have new here, then 7 boxes. And this is good. These boxes are put only to give the visually appealing experience to them. So on the other side, it's old. So anybody would easily comprehend this. New, old. Okay, where do I stand? I feel this design is okay. It's not all that new, but it's not all that old also. I feel it's okay to give this point. Probably the car which I have driven and tested, I don't think it is too fast. It's not fast. It's pretty slow. I'll pick mark here. So this is how semantic differential scales are used so that even a novice person can also respond to your questionnaire. Then the fifth one is a numerical scale. Numerical scale that is quite similar to the semantic differential scale, which I just discussed. Instead of boxes, we will have numbers in between. It is just the matter of convenience so that the accuracy of response is ensured. Say, for example, we will write extremely satisfied, and here extremely dissatisfied. We will have numbers in between: 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have. So numbers are given so that it becomes even more convenient. When boxes are given, probably people will think a little bit to decide which is high, which is low, kind of thing. But in this case, it is even more convenient. Numerical scales are helpful to the respondents, where they can easily identify that 7 is higher value. That's why it is written as extremely satisfied. 1 is a lower value. Hence, it is written as extremely dissatisfied, and they'll tick mark the most appropriate point on the scale. Remember, at all times, our objective of developing this scale is to elicit most accurate and valid data. Then, the sixth type of scale which I'm discussing is called as constant sum scale. Constant sum scale. In this, there is a little bit of mathematics which the respondents have to use. We will request them to divide 100 points. For example, it can be 10 points, it can be 25 points, it can be any points. I've taken 100 points as the example. We will request them to divide the 100 points among the different characteristics of a canteen. Just how we discussed about canteen. Say, what we do is ambience, taste, service quality, then what else? Availability, of food, then price. Let us assume these 5 attributes or variables are being used to measure the customer satisfaction towards a canteen. Then what we do is we will request them to divide 100 points. Total is 100. Divide these 100 points amongst these 5 options given to you. Probably somebody might think, okay, our college gives good tasty food is provided. So I'll give something like 40 points. Then I'm left with 60. I have to divide the remaining 60 with other aspects. And then probably I'll give the next points to price, because price is okay. I'm happy with the price. I give say 20. Now I'm left with 40. In this 40, availability is okay. I'll give 20. Now I'm left with 20 points. In this ambience, okay, I can give around 15. And the service, it is self-service. I don't like, so I'm giving 5 points. And this is my opinion. So total should be equal to 100. Is it equal to 100? 55, 60, yes, 100. Now this is how constant sum scale is used. And responses of all the respondents is taken together to analyze using suitable statistical technique is considered. It is all added. So what is the overall score for ambience, taste, service quality, availability, and price? Probably you may use ratio analysis as well. What is the percentage of ambience in or to the total? Percentage of taste to the total kind of analysis you can do when you use constant sum scale. Okay, now the seventh type of scale is called a staple scale. Staple scale. Staple scale. In this, what we do is we'll try to give them the visual experience again. Say, for example, to measure attitude of a subordinate towards superior, whether your superior is supportive to you or not, is the kind of question. In that case, what we do is the item which is being measured is written in between supportive. Then we'll say -1, -2, -3, +1, +2, +3. This is how the scale looks like. I feel my boss is supportive. This is a scale. I feel my boss is supportive. In this case, what we have done is +1, +2, +3 indicates the positive response towards the statement. Similarly, -1, -2, -3 indicates the negative response. That means the boss is not supportive in this case. Boss is supportive. 3 is highly supportive. -3 is highly unsupportive. So whenever we have less knowledgeable respondents, probably those who work on the grassroots levels, coming from a different background, probably they have done ITI diploma, they don't understand the social sciences, they don't understand something else other than their subject. So for such kind of people, what we can do is we can ease their comprehensibility. Otherwise, if they don't understand the question properly, then they will be committing a mistake. So framing the sentence should be as simple as possible, and also the scale should be visually appealing. It should be comprehensible to the respondent so that they will give the most appropriate level of response. This is a staple scale. Then we have graphic rating scale. Graphic rating scale is the 8th one which I'm discussing. What do we do? The moment we speak about graph, we definitely use continuum. I told you continuum is a thing which continues on either side. Continuum. Okay. in this case, we'll draw a straight line like this. Say, for example, in a movie theater, we are trying to find out how well the seats are comfortable to the patrons, to the customers. So seating comfort, I feel the seats are comfortable. I feel the seats are comfortable, and we have given them the graphic continuum where they say it is discomfort on one side and comfort on the other side. So they can mark anywhere. Say, I would look at this and say, okay, seats are quite average, I'll mark here. Then what do we do? How do we convert this marking into number so that we can use statistics? What we do is we use a scale to measure from the start point to the respondent's mark, probably in inches or in millimeters or in centimeters. We do measure it and then decide, okay, so much. Say, for example, this is a 10 centimeter scale. The total length is 10 centimeters. Then this one would be probably 7 centimeters, the marking, 7 centimeters. So what we say is the comfort, according to the respondent, is 7 out of 10. And this is how graphic rating scales are used. And of course, because of a little complexity, we don't find these type of scales being used in practical research. Of course, theoretically, this is a type of scale which is available. Probably this can be used in amusement parks or somewhere to measure the, probably there is a game being played like GRS Fantasy Park, there is a roller coaster, and soon after that you want to know their experience, then there is a screen kept, they'll mark on the screen, okay, this is my level of experience or level of happiness after using the roller coaster, kind of thing. In such circumstances, you can definitely use graphic rating scales where graphical representation of the scale is more important. It is not the words which people are going to read, understand, and then do it. Probably they will mark on the continuum saying that, okay, I'm happy at this level, kind of. Then the ninth one is ladder scale. And definitely you people have seen ladder, any ladder scale. How does it look like? Ladder, no, it looks like this. I'm not all that a good artist. Ladder. What you do is, anything you are measuring, you will request the respondent to mark at which step they're feeling towards the object being measured is. Say you are measuring the taste of the food available in the canteen, and then you will ask, mark your response on the ladder. Say, for example, this can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So you have given 10 options. Then definitely people would think, okay, 1 is low score, 10 is high score, because you want to create the feeling of high and low. The customer should differentiate the variations of their feeling. It so happens somebody would be something like this, and if you ask, are you happy? They'll say, yes, I'm happy. But I can't see your happiness on your face. No, this is how I am happy. I don't usually show. There can be some respondents, they're happy, but they don't show the happiness on their face. And at the same time, there are people who are little happy, but they'll be showing their happiness. Hey, hello, hi, I'm happy, kind of expression is given by some people. So you have to consider all sorts of people. You cannot equate all human beings on uh, one jigsaw or weighing scale. So you have to consider their emotional backgrounds, their level of expression. There are very low context expression people and very high context expressive people. Um, you have to consider all of them. So what you do is you give them most visually appealing way of differentiating their own feelings. Okay, the moment they look at the ladder, okay, 10 is very high, 1 is very low. So I have to rate the taste of the food in the canteen. Fine then, in my opinion, taste is good, so I'll mark here. If it is extremely good, I would have marked 10, 9 or 10. It's okay, it's good. Good taste. 7. If somebody says, okay, I'm not happy with it, probably they'll give the low scores. This ladder scale or any other graphical representation which we are using is only to ignite their feeling, uh, only to help them in recollecting the right feeling and giving it to the researcher. Moving on to the last type of scale. This scale you would have seen at many places, especially in the shopping malls, supermarkets. You would have seen this scale. This is a graphic rating scale which stresses the visual communication. It stresses, say, you go to Big Bazaar or more, especially or Decathlon, you would have seen this type of a scale. This is a graphic rating scale stressing on visual communication. Okay, there is visual communication in this. I'll just write. You are requested to press one of these buttons about your shopping experience in the market. This is very happy. Okay, nothing to boast of or nothing to blame upon. But this is I'm not happy. Where visual aids are used, visual medium of communication is used, so that the respondent, if he is not so literate, is unable to read and understand the technical jargons which you have used in your questionnaire, can easily comprehend when you use a visual communication medium. Otherwise, when the questionnaire becomes too technical, people may not be able to understand properly. When they don't understand properly, definitely they'll give wrong answers. You will be getting tick marks, but not the responses. You have to elicit the most appropriate response. Hence, you may use a visual communication medium depending upon background of the respondents. Probably you're conducting a survey in rural areas, or you're conducting a survey with illiterates or less educated people. In such circumstances, you can do this. Okay? You please don't ask me, sir, then all those people who go to Big Bazaar more or Decathlon are less educated or not. No. It is again the matter of convenience, the matter of igniting the urge to give the right response. With this, my discussion on rating scales comes to an end. Do you have any questions?
If there are any questions, please to go ahead. We have very short of time. We have to wind it up very soon today. So if there are questions, we move ahead. Otherwise, I'll go with assignments part.
I think, Dr. Sandhya, there are no questions. In any case, I'll be meeting the respondents tomorrow again on development of a survey instrument. Then also we can take up their doubts, if any.
Sir, I'm Satish Koda. I don't have a question, but I have to say something.
Go ahead, sir.
Sir, actually, this is one of the very difficult thing to understand. Actually, these scales and all in research, we call it as very technical things. Though these concepts are very difficult to understand, and from the beginning, those scales, first session and this session, you made it very clear. I think this is possible when you understood it from the grassroots level. Then only you can make it understand the other person. So I hats up you, sir, for your understanding, because there are so many scales. I think there are 10 around 10 types of scales you have understood. Generally, people those who use these scales, one or two scales, they are good in that. But you have understood all of them and made us understand things very clearly with good examples. So I'm very much thankful, and I like your teaching style, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for the appreciation. My job is to make things easy to everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's my job. As a teacher, I should not be complicating anything to anyone. I should make it as easy as possible. So I take up the general examples which everyone would have experienced. Tomorrow also we'll be taking one example for questionnaire development, which most of you, not most of you, all of you, I'm sure would have experienced. Fine, sir. Thank you very much for your kind words. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
So quickly I move on to assignment part. Pleased to be here, sir. Shiva Prasad, sir.
Sure. I'm here very much.
Sir, is the PPT visible?
Yeah. Your PPT is visible.
Yeah. This is assignment 13. As sir told about to give this as part of the assignment, that is develop statements to measure all three components of attitude on the topic of your choice. So this is with regard to, sir spoke about three components of attitude, that is affective component, cognitive component, and pragmatic component, right, sir?
Yes, you're right, madam.
So keeping in this, all this component in your mind, you have to develop statements of your own topic of choice. This is what the assignment is. If anybody has any doubt, you can ask sir with regard to this. With regard to assignment, I'll post this particular assignment in your WhatsApp group. But if you have any doubts, you can ask sir with regard to this. Or tomorrow also you can ask with regard to your assignment if you have any doubts too.
So is it like we have to give a statement and the responses?
Responses are not required, madam.
Okay.
Choose any topic of your choice.
Okay.
Like I had chosen job in my example. For affective component, I said I love my job. Awareness, I'm aware that it is challenging. And pragmatic component, I said I'm not going to quit. So only three statements you have to develop for any topic of your choice. Any concept you choose, write three statements. One for affective component, another one for knowledge related, and the behavior related components.
Fine, sir. Thanks.
So there is an important announcement, dear participants. When you submit your assignment, please at the end of your assignment in the Word form or PDF form, please write your full name, designation that you wanted to print it in your certificates. So whoever successfully submits their assignments, they will only get their certificates. So I request you to kindly write your full name, designation, and at the same time write your phone number and email ID so that we prepare your certificates along with your assignment. So we give you feedback about this. At the same time, don't forget to mention your full name, designation that you wanted to publish in your certificates. So I think that's it for today. So tomorrow, sir is available on different topics, that is identifying the variables, developing the items or statements, pilot study or pre-testing. These are the topics that will be covered tomorrow. We expect your participation, 100% effective participation for sir's session that is going to be held at 10 a.m. sharp tomorrow. Sir, you wanted to say something, or shall we?
We shall wind up now. Tomorrow's session would be more of practical in nature. It should be a little more interactive in nature, so that they will learn how to develop a questionnaire. With this, I would say that we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you, one and all. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you very much for